Hello world, Great Giza Pyramid, the Subterranean section. What we have here is the Subterranean room, the pre-Subterranean room, and the shaft that goes up to the entrance. Now, you can get better pictures of this if you use your favorite search engine, so our page would be mine. But what I want to point out to you is within this whole section, which while in operation would have been a bath of water, with the exception of, when you fill water, you're going to have air bubbles here and here. What's going on? In this bath of water, there are two granite rocks. One of them is located right about here. It's above floor level, but you don't really need to worry about that until you get into the really detailed mechanics of what's happening in this room. And this one is located in the pit. There are shelves within the pit. It kind of works its way up. It's a square shape. I recommend you look pictures in there. But it's located pretty much dead center of the pit. I mean, they didn't really do that by mistake. What's happening is, in a really simplistic way, electrolysis, with hydrogen bubbling off of this rock out of the water and then forming a pool of hydrogen within here. Since this side is about an inch or so lower than this side, that hydrogen actually works its way over and into this pool and would start forcing all the air out. The oxygen would also bubble up out of the water till it got to the water level, and it would then start bubbling its way underneath the hydrogen and out of the system. Now here is where a little bit of what they don't tell you comes into play. The roof line from here to here is not all the same. It's about all the same level, but about 2/3 of it is a ripply, rough, stucco-looking surface. And then there's a little tooth that goes up about 2 inches, that's about 4 to 6 inches long. And then from there to the end, it is very smooth. And what that's allowing to occur is while the oxygen is rubbing along the ripply edge here, the hydrogen is working its way out and staying within the valleys and crevices and going back into the system because it's at a very slight angle. And then when the oxygen gets to here, it kind of bubbles over, falls into this pit, and starts a larger bubble. And then that bubble is going to crawl across this roof, being a smooth surface, potentially maybe breaking into two bubbles, because bubbles do that. But in either case, when it gets to here, it's going to bubble out and over the edge. And since it doesn't crawl across the surface, it bubbles out and up, it actually creates a little bit of a water hammer. Now this water hammer effect, which is going to come down, is why when you look into really old pictures, I'm talking like the ones back in the 1800s before they got down here with brooms and swept it out, and you can see that there are piles of dirt at an interval, which I'm sure is going to be the frequency of that wave slapping down. And it left those piles of dirt. Now also, within this shaft, we see piles of dirt that looked like they were right behind each one of the ribs. Oh, didn't mention that, did I? The shaft that comes out there, when you look at it, it's actually not a nice smooth surface. Both the walls and the ceiling, and potentially the floor, but right now there's still dirt there. No one's gone through and dug it all up, but at least the floor and the walls, the ceiling and the walls, have a rib to it. And I think that rib is going to come into play when we look at this compression wave and how it's cycling through here, and we compare it to certain things we have in this world. I think we're going to find out that they were doing a little bit more with this hydrogen that's coming this way, passing through the magnetic barrier every now and stripping its electrons off, creating a bunch of random protons here. And we all know when you get too many protons together, you wind up with a neutron. And when you have neutron and H. Planck involved, well, that's another story, and that's another video. From here, it's going to have that slapping and swashing effect. Now, to make things quick and easy, the hydrogen is going to kind of get mixed in the same way we have oxygenated water. In this case, it's going to be hydrogenated water. Whether we want to call that D2O or whether you just want to call it hydrogenated water, that water is going to work its way within this bath, swishing back and forth until it gets over to and works its way into this little pickup scoop that they have over here. And that swashing back and forth is going to work its way into its pickup scoop, where I'm going to tell you when we address the subterranean system, or the system down under, how the water is now being siphoned up. So this hydrogenated D2O water is working its way up to the top part of the system, and that's the next video. Unless you really want to get heavy into this whole thing, and that's a separate video.